What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Custom. I'm Carl Fisher, and today we are going to show you how to make this beautiful, organic, Zephyr-esque shifter that comes out from behind our waterfall dash. It is 100% made of stainless steel, and we have tapered this and this is like a technique that hopefully you guys can mimic as well. We had a challenging time with it, so we're going to show you that in this video, is actually tapering this from 5/8 of an inch all the way down to 3/8 of an inch and bending that in such a way where we can get that beautiful shape. It's not as hard as you think, and we're going to show you how in this video. So thanks a lot for watching Make It Custom, everybody. Let's get into the video. All right, so to start this shifter, I kind of want to show you guys what I'm talking about when I'm inspired by the Zephyr style shifter. It is right here. This is an iconic Zephyr thing, and since we took cues from the Zephyr in a couple other spots on that Roadster, this is why we have the center console in the Roadsters, because I'm kind of in love with the whole symmetrical dash with the waterfall grill. So this shifter, how it comes out around the side of this waterfall grill, is what I really want to build for that Roadster. So this kind of looks like it's stainless. I think it's like nickel plated or chrome. I think it's nickel plated, but that organic bent, ergonomic shifter, it tapers, like it looks like it's almost down to like 3/8 of an inch here, and it's probably up to 5/8 of an inch there. So that's going to be like a challenge for us, is going to be making that taper happen, and then just getting nice bends in it. I chose stainless for it just because, I mean, steel would have been easier and we could have had it chromed, but stainless is just kind of nice, and you don't have to have it chromed if you take the time to polish it anyway. So that is what we got to do. So I think the first things first is making ourselves a pivot point. So we're going to make a pivot point just below the waterfall grill on that Roadster, just behind it. And basically it's going to be a tube that has a grease nipple and then a bolt on a couple of tabs that will weld to the actual transmission tunnel. So there'll be 2 tabs welded to the transmission tunnel, and then a bolt and a stainless tube that our shifter is going to weld to, and that our, this is very, very simple. Just shifter welded to a hinge that is welded to an arm that moves forward and backwards to actuate the transmission into gear and park. So very, very, very simple. We're going to try and keep most of the weight of the shifter above that pivot point so that it doesn't want to fall one way or another. And we're also going to be conscious about how much that shifter has to move to get all the gears. Like, if it has to move really far to get all the gears, that means that it's got a mechanical advantage on the detents of that transmission, so it has to move really far, right? So if we change the geometry a little bit, like have a little bit longer arm on our shifter and a shorter arm on the transmission, that will make it so that your shift knob doesn't have to go as far, meaning that it'll also want to stay in place more, because we're not actually having it where it's like a ratchet shifter where it's held into a gear, right? We want it to be difficult just enough to change gears so that it doesn't want to do that going over railroad tracks or anything like that. So those are the things I'm thinking about. First off, we're going to make that hinge. We'll go to the lathe, we'll drill out a piece of stainless, we'll make that grease nipple go in there, and then make a couple of tabs that we'll put on our transmission tunnel. And then we're going to have to taper that chunk of steel or stainless to make our shifter. So I don't know if we're just going to like grind a taper on it while it's spinning in the lathe or something like that. We'll figure it out. Cutting stainless, you always want to have a nice slow cut speed. Stainless will ruin your day if you if you go too fast with it. So, there we go. I think that's as slow as this thing goes. Let me just double check. Oh no, we can go a little slower. So, undo this motor. Ooh, we need a new belt. Nice. There we go. Get this out of the way. These little bits are, it's like a centering bit. You know, when you bring in a drill bit, it'll walk around a little bit. If it's not a perfect surface, well, that one's just made for finding the center. So we do that, we get ourselves some rapid tap. Elio, do you like the smell of rapid tap?
It's my favorite, especially in the summer.
We're being serious. Rapid tap smells like so good. I don't know why. Oh God.
When it gets hot and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, no, when it burns,
like
that's when I like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you can just like hear it cutting. It's like so satisfying. Okay, we're centered. We want a 3/8 hole, right? So we're just gonna go right to 3/8. Where are we? I really like these drill bits, but the only thing I don't like is that they don't have the 3 notches on it, you know? They're a little bit schlipper, eh? But I guess it's kind of a fail-safe also. You're not gonna snap drill bits. But they cut really nice. Small tiny bit, you can go a little bit faster on the speed. I love this thing, so variable speed. You can just kind of put it wherever you want it. And I'm probably just gonna guess where the center is and just try and get it. No, wait, no, we don't want the dead center. So we probably want, how are we gonna do this? Offset, right?
Yeah, offset.
Perfect. Okay. So that will smash in there. That'll work. We've got our little grease nipple. We'll be able to weld to this. Did you know that like grease nipple taps, like, I don't even know if that is a real tap. What was that, 1024? Back in the day, you know what we would do? Like what I was taught is you take a piece of like 1-inch thick round bar and you drill the size of just the grease nipple into it so that you can just like put it on like a punch. And you put it in there and you just like one whack, whack, and your grease nipple's in. And that's how you install them. That sounds totally wrong because this is an obvious thread, but that's how we did it.
We'll try.
Okay, now that this little piece is made, we could go on to making that into a hinge and finishing that thought process, but now I just really want to taper this piece of stainless. So I'm just gonna grind it freehand in here and see if we can get a cool taper on it. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna work. So what I'm gonna do is we'll use that centering bit and we will, where's the chuck key? There it is. And then we'll use like a cone center on it. And I think that if it's just spinning while we're like viciously grinding it, it should be somewhat even. What do you think, Elio?
Yes. What one has a longer bed on it? This one?
Oh, that lathe has a way longer bed on it. But, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't have to be too crazy for length. Like, the visible amount of that shifter is probably only going to be that long.
Okay.
You know, so if we made it like this bed length,
Yep.
I don't know. Elio just has fun all day, just like laughing at me. He's like, I don't know if that's gonna work.
How deep do you want to go for the...
I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, if it looks like I know how to use these tools, like I really don't. I just bought them and then just, you know, started using them. So, not a millwright or machinist by any means. Okay, so cannot find my centering jig or whatever you would call it. Center pivot for the tailstock. So I've got a chunk of drill bit that I'm just going to quickly machine a pin end on, and that's what we're going to use. I remember the last time I did anything like kind of grinding on here. A lot of good old boys out there were like, you're destroying the ways on your lathe. Like, these are the ways, I guess. And absolutely correct. I was not thinking of that. And because you guys, you know, got mad at me, you're helping save the ways of my lathe. We're not going to do that today. Okay, trying not to get too close to the spinning stuff there. This should be fine. This should be good. All right. Looking pretty good. I'm very tired of standing. Standing is not my friend anymore. Worth it though. I think that taper looks beautiful. It's like 2.5 feet long, going from 5/8 to 3/8. Perfect. All right. Love how that turned out. We went up to 400 grit on the DA. The taper turned out really, really nice. We went down to about, you know, even a little less than 3/8 of an inch, back up to 5/8 of an inch over 30 inches or so. Yeah. I think next step is going to be to complete this hinge. So we've actually got one of these straps left over from making the Mother Tucker shrinking stump kits. Must have been one that we messed up or something like that, but it has the 3/8 hole already punched in it. And what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to chop it here and just make this into a rectangle so that we can actually cut a rectangle in the floor or in that transmission hump. And then this shifter will be able to just kind of like pivot inside that rectangle, and the rectangle can be fully welded all around the outside of it, and it should be somewhat strong. So yeah, I think that's the plan. I'll give that a go. So I guess this is the plan. We're just gonna put it somewhere in there, trace it out, cut it out, drop it in, weld it up. Kind of matches the same hardware as what's holding our steering stuff on. We'll have that accessible little grease nipple in there just to make sure that it's always something that can be lubricated. You know, stainless sometimes is not friends with steel. It'll gall or whatever, so we don't want any chance of that. A little bit of lubrication there would be nice. So I think I'm gonna drop that in there and actually TIG weld that in with silicon bronze, just because it's not gonna heat this up too much, and we'll get like a nice full weld all the way around. And then from the bottom, we'll be able to weld a little bit of a like 1/2-inch round bar that will be kind of our, whatever you would call it, lever or an extension of the shifter so that we can mount a Heim joint linkage to it. I think that's what I'm gonna do next. So I'll trace that out, cut it out, weld it in. He's so cute. Okay. I'm just gonna grind the mill scale off of this because it is a thing when you're, especially if I'm gonna use some silicon bronze. TIG welding, you just definitely wanna have clean material no matter what, and this is hot rolled, so it has mill scale on it. So I'm just gonna clean that up and we'll weld that on there. There it is. Such a tight fit. Okay. We have our pivot. So I think now the idea is going to be to just go underneath and make ourselves a little arm and make our linkage so that that's hooked up, and then we will put our shifter on and weld it up here. We might have to put a couple of little gussets here just so it's not, well, I don't know. We'll see how easily the transmission shifts. We might have to shave a little bit here and add a little bit of grease, or wait till this cools down because it's not spinning freely right now, even though it's kind of loose in there. Now that we have established the spot that we're going to weld our arm to, which is that stainless tube, now we've got to make the shape of our arm. Could be as simple as just an arc like this, I think. Could be so simple. It's just going to pivot back and forth. That's all it's going to do. Right now, this is in park, so with this pushed forward, and if you can imagine in your head the shifter right now, the shifter would be in park, right? So when it goes into first gear, second gear, third gear, it's pushing this way, which is the opposite of what this is. So we actually have to build a arm that allows it to pull off of the top, so that when this goes into park, because our shifter would go towards the dash when it would come backwards here, right? Because the fulcrum's up there. So if it pulls it into park, then it's going to need to pull this into park. So that has to be switched. I think the easiest way is just to actually drill another hole and just create a plate that just bolts onto this one. That way we're not welding. We don't have to affect the seal in here. Like, I don't have to get this too hot or anything. I mean, you could just weld it onto the other side, but I think bolting it is just easier, safer, whatever. So right now I am just going to keep messing with this till I get a nice kind of idea. I don't mind coming in on a harsh angle to that tube as well, because it actually gives us more surface area to weld to. Kind of go something like that even. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's all it needs to be, so why overcomplicate things, you know? Something like that. And then I might bend it vertically at a spot, like right here. And that vertical bend will now be, you know, kind of where the heim joint mount will be. We're just gonna, I might even just heat it up with the torch and smash the stainless until it gets nice and flat so that I can drill a hole in it, just for the heim joint bolt. We'll make ourselves a nice little linkage too. Yeah, I don't know, I think that'll be good. Well, that kind of gets close to the floor. Could make it a bit shallow. Well, I guess I could weld it further in. Yeah, I could just cut it down a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Make a little arm here. While I have the side cutters, I might as well just cut a length of arm. Probably go something like that. All right, let's bend up some stainless that looks kind of like that and squish the end with the torch. I think we're done playing. I don't know. I always enjoy kind of knocking metal around like that. You're essentially a blacksmith. You're forging, rather than have to machine a little piece or do something to make an attachment point for that bolt. We can just kind of, you know, make it liquid, as my buddy Andrew would say whenever you're using a torch. Just make it liquid, but you're making it soft so that you can just work it, right? The other thing it's doing is not only are you making it soft because it's so hot that it's almost liquid, but you're annealing it basically. Is every time you work metal, you're smashing the molecules together and essentially making it denser and harder and more easy, prone to cracking, depending on what kind of alloys you're working with. You know, there's all kinds of different stainless and aluminum and steel, but you're annealing it and you're just making it softer because you're making it liquid. So that's what we come up with. I'm going to clean that up, obviously. This is going to be like kind of like a nice polished shifter, so just making it as close to the shapes as it needs to be is going to help me for grinding, because you saw how much grinding we did on that tapered shifter end. That was like an hour and a half of straight grinding with a stone. Yeah, so that's that. Now I'm going to actually put this in the vise and try and get the bend out of it that we made here. But essentially, I just kind of wanted to make the start of that. So. All right, I think we got it. There it is. So like that, we kind of gave it a little bit of shape this way because we can sort of play with that. But nailed this. Now I'm going to clean it up, get it sanded the same way we sanded that. I think we went all the way up to 400 with it. So I go 80, 180, and then we kind of skipped a little bit to get to 400. But it'll definitely need a proper polish at some point if we're going to make it like chrome, right? But I'm going to go ahead and do that, do a bunch of sanding, drill that hole in there, and then we'll start figuring out our linkage. We're going to make a short linkage that'll have a left-hand heim joint and a a left-hand heim joint and a right-hand heim joint, or rod ends, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to machine a bar that has both those threads in it on the lathe so that we can have our adjustability for the shifter itself. And once that linkage is all done and attached to, or at least tacked to that hinge, we can basically just start, making this cool shifter and tack it in place, and then see how far it travels and how it feels, and do any adjustments from there. So we're getting there. Try and use this piece of wire to help us out. All right, I got the wire in. This bolt in here. There we go, and we're spinning. Nice. So right now I'm just gonna face that grease nipple up. Should it be on the other side? Dang it. Kind of want the grease nipple on the other side. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm just going to throw the car up and tack from the bottom. I should probably tape that in place so that it doesn't move on me, actually. Throw a piece of tape on here. Make sure that grease nipple points up. In fact, I think I'm going to tack it in place near park. So I would want this grease nipple to be forward so that it has room to go back. So probably about there. There. Okay. Now we've got something. Nice. Clears. Beautiful. Well, there it is. Nice little organic looking arm. I'm just going to bolt that in now, and we will make ourselves a little link.
There we go. Beautiful. I am totally gonna use that. If you guys don't know, this is the handle that we manufacture for our planishing hammer, and it literally is the exact size of the thing I was gonna machine. So I think it's funny. We're just gonna leave that. I think that's cool. It's perfect. Look at that. Totally adjustable. We can move the shifter around if we have to a little bit. It's literally the exact size. It's too funny. Okay, so now, with this in park, that's in park right there, now we can actually bend up the shifter. So I'm gonna go look at the Zephyr shifter and kind of see how it comes around, and I want to bend our piece to look nice and organic and make sure that I'm sitting in there to make sure that it's not gonna hit my leg and stuff like that. That's next, is just playing with the shape of the shifter and to tack it in, and we'll actually be able to shift the transmission. So, I am driving the car. I have the shifter in park, kind of like that, sort of what I'm thinking. I think that's okay for your feet and stuff. I'm wearing big ugly boots, but you know, it might end up being like reverse neutral drive. Still lots of room, you know, second, first, still lots of room. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Similar to the shape of the Zephyr one, where it actually kind of comes out on an angle out of the transmission of the Zephyr, so it'll be like that, and then it kind of arcs a little bit with maybe the radius of this fulcrum, sort of kind of close, but whatever, and then it bends here, goes straight a little bit, and then comes up. Kind of how the Zephyr one works. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna bend this up, and we can always tweak it later, but that's my template.
All right, well, pretty happy with the way that shape turned out. I'm ready to tack it in now. Something that this shifter can do that the Zephyr one isn't, is that I can actually line this thing up to be dead center, which I think is kind of neat. That it will be kind of symmetrical, you know? That'll make a lot of people happy. Let's see. I want this to be dead vertical, right in the center. No, I'm not measuring and getting all weird with that. Like, I think Jordan Bennett, am I wearing a shirt? No. Jordan Bennett, he once said, eyes don't lie. And I like that. I don't know if it's true, but it rhymes. So, you know, we're just gonna go with that. The eyes don't lie. So center with the transmission tunnel, center with the motor, kind of thing. Hold that there. Give it a tack. Hopefully the welder's on and the ground is on and all the things I forget are done. Oh, can't see. That's good. Okay, I got a tack on it. Have another look. Could maybe go a little left. That's where the next tack will be. Oh, stuck it. Okay. I'm gonna try and get a semi-real tack on it with some filler. I have some, this massive filler right here, but it's kind of big. I'm gonna go get some 1/16 filler. Okay, that's enough tacking. We should be able to actuate the shifter without it breaking off and be able to see whether or not we get all the gears. So, moment of truth. Okay. Oh, that's such a nice position right there. Please work. Oh yeah, we did it. We got them all. Reverse, neutral, drive, 2. Maybe it doesn't even have a 1. It doesn't run out of room. That's all that matters. Clears the knee nice. Oh, that is sweet. Oh, I love that. Not to toot my own horn, but that is actually probably the nicest looking shifter handle I personally have ever made. So, oh, I love it. It's elegant. Got to find a nice Bakelite vintage knob for that. Sand this a little bit. Ooh! Oh, that's all kinds of goodness. Yikes! All right, well, love the shifter. Super stoked with how it turned out. I think it's exactly what we were going for as far as like not being identical to a Zephyr shifter. It's not like we just cut off a Zephyr shifter and welded it on. It's obvious that we made something unique and different. And I just can't wait to find a nice little shift knob, put it on there. And man, like the shifting is great. Sitting in here, we got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and it doesn't interfere with your foot at all. Like we are good to drive this thing. So couldn't have worked any better. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just really happy with the way it turned out. Thanks a lot for watching Make It Kustom, everybody. Really appreciate you guys. We are going to be on this massive road trip coming up. Elio and I are going coast to coast into Mercury that's behind me. Definitely check us out on Patreon. Just to let everybody know, all the DXF files that we sell on the website we give away for free on Patreon. I'm not saying go on there and just download all our files and give us $4, but nobody's stopping you, so check it out. japhandskustoms.com for like any of the tools and stuff that we like using, like the profiling hammer and our planishing hammer, that kind of stuff, any of their merch. And we'll catch you on the next video, everybody. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later. Stay tuned, watch our shorts, because in this next coming week, like, I'm gonna be traveling around, we're gonna be doing all kinds of stuff in the States, and we are gonna be announcing some meetups as well, where we're gonna stop, I think, in Chicago. We're looking at stopping in like South Dakota somewhere, and definitely on the coast, like the far Atlantic coast somewhere, Baltimore-ish. So yeah, if anybody's in those areas, definitely keep on Make It Kustom, and you'll find out where we're gonna be at. Thanks a lot, everybody. Later.